Hello, this is Vance, and this is Monday, April the 10th, 2017, and these are the CL trades for today using the slow hand method for price action. Now, I was on this morning with a very short bite, talked about pricing right at here. This is 9 o'clock open, and had prices kind of transferred up here. And I want to go back and just kind of take a look at another example of context, which I didn't cover this morning, is the fact that this is last Thursday, where price is moving up, and this is Friday. This is the weekend. Of course, we had that action in Syria, and you think that, you know, when there's any disruption in the Middle East that you might have higher prices. We have to wait and see. That took place a couple of days ago, but it's something that destabilizes the area, and if there's any fear that there's going to be disruption of transfer of oil or so forth, then that could make for higher prices. And I think we had some of that effect today, but we'll see if that follows through for the rest of the week. Anyway, the point is that in the overnight, this is really, and I'll kind of expand on this, we'll talk a little bit about this, is that last Friday, prices had gotten to the high of almost $53 and rolled over, and right at, this is 9 o'clock, I think, this is just before 9 o'clock, and when price opened up, it dipped to as low as $51.49. Now, you have to keep in mind that $51.49, it wasn't that many weeks ago where prices were under $50. So we've had a kind of a bit of a run up, bit of bullish market as far as oil pricing is concerned. And so going into this morning, what are we looking for? Well, let me just kind of expand this a little, and I'll just try to do this. Now, in the past, I've done this step by step. So we had this overnight move to a high, which was just above $53. Price turned over, came back down, and this is really at the open. So we had this sideways motion. I think I was on it. I was thinking of the pricing going up this way, and I had drawn it at this point in time. There's two scenarios here, that either price is going to go up like so from here. I think it was about here, or it was going to go down for the 15 ticks. Now, I was waiting for the open, and this is 9 o'clock right here. This is where 9 o'clock opened. So we had prices dipped down a bit, just a few ticks, comes back up, opens right here. So let's kind of step through this as we go through this. If you look at, as soon as price opens, we have this first bar. We have a fairly bullish bar right here. Another bearish bar side by side here. So you get this little pincers down here. And then price, another strong bar here. So what it really is telling me, and this is just a few minutes after 9, that it looks like maybe this area is going to be one of support, and do we have enough room to get out to this top right here? This is really the double top right over here, but it's poked up a little bit higher. Now remember that I'm looking at, I also mentioned that I was looking at, this is the area of prices moving up, and that maybe we'll have another measured move up in that direction. So that's what I was kind of looking for, and at least get to this top. Now, how did it transpire? Getting in long at this area, prices moved up, and then kind of pulled back a little bit. So we have a little bit of a stall. Price moves up a little bit, pulls back, and goes into a sideways. It goes into sideways. So I still think that we're going to get up here, just taking a little bit longer to work out. And you see from here, price does move up. And I thought this was, you know, relatively long. Now, once we get this confirmation here, and I'm not saying confirmation, let's say I think this is the bottom level. Now, there's nothing 100% in trading. I mean, if I put this line in here and I'm looking at this as a level, let's say it's 52.73, let's say. Is that the line in the sand? Is that where prices is always going to come back to? Well, I don't know that. I really don't. I'm thinking that this is a tendency. It could be support. I want to see how price reacts at that area. And in this case, price moves back down to this area and bounces really right at 52.70. We have sideways, and then we have another bounce up. So if I'm thinking that this is the support area, if I think this is support going on this side, maybe this is minor support, and when I see this is first entry, second entry long, and we have this completion of this bar here, do I have enough room to get out 15 ticks? I'd be inclined to take it. Where's my stop going to be? It's going to be down here. So my stop is down here, my entry point is here, my target is here. I think I can. There's enough room to get up to this area, with the expectation that I think I might have another measured move up, but I don't know that. So as price steps through here, we can see it doesn't quite get the 15 ticks, turns around. Now, two things here: either you move it up to, when it gets ahead 10 ticks, that you go break even because price isn't getting up, or you got in low enough that you got your first contracts off. Here, price again comes back down. Now is this time to go short. Now, we look at two things here. First of all, is this really a trend down? This is what this is starting. Well, this is what you refer to as a slow trend. We have these prices go down, it pulls back, goes down, pulls back. So we have buyers and sellers are really indecisive about which direction price is going to be. It appears that when price gets close to $53, there's resistance. If it gets anywhere below this 52.70, let's say 52.65, 52.70, there's resistance. There's support. And if we step through this is another area where a second entry long. First entry pulls back, second entry long on a fairly strong bar. Where does it move to? It moves to the other side. Now, we get this leg up, and as a result, prices, will get your first contracts out, depending where you got in. This is only 15 ticks, by the way. This is a pretty narrow area. Price moves up higher, pulls back again, and now, when price gets to this level, again, looking at going long. I was really long most of today. I was really considering it. I never really considered the shorts, despite the fact that you could make an argument with this one, but that's a pretty strong bar to get short on, and it's pretty emotional. In other words, in order for my thinking is that when you have a strong bar like this, you have to have subsequently a couple of really strong bars to get to this bottom. And I don't know if that was really applicable, because these bars, when you add these together, these are pretty strong down bars as well. And in both these cases, price couldn't get down much further. This looks like there's a little bit more momentum, but again, we're not talking 15 ticks here. So if you complete on this bar, I think that it's already had two attempts to go down. It wasn't successful. So as soon as price bounces up here, this is a place to go long. Price moves up pretty stiffly, comes back down. Now again, do you take a short here? It's a second entry short. It's a break to a new high. Is it someplace where you could go short? Well, you can make the argument that you could, but the problem is that your target isn't low enough. Now, does it work? If it does just barely. We're looking at shorting at 52.98, let's say. It has to get down to 52.83, and it just makes it. At which point we have another second entry long. And it takes a while to work out. So this one, if you were to get in on this one, you probably would maybe close this out, or you would get a little bit rattled because of these strong bars here, but it doesn't stay down. And if you look at how prices responded to this area, it made its way up higher. And then from there, it got to the point where, like this, this is your 15 tick stop box. If you were to enter on this area, even on this one, if your stop is low enough, 15 ticks, do you hold through all of this until such time as it really turns around? That's a good question mark. Remember, nothing is 100% in trading. If you're in low enough, and if your target is right at this top right here, if that's the case, a previous high, then you have to get in awfully low. You have to limit in. If you're looking at prices exceeding this area, this is a better bar to get in on. But again, you have to look at it from the perspective of that where is price heading. If it stops up, if we have a pullback in this area, something like this, you may be inclined to go break even right at this point. I would suggest that if you were in on this long and price pulls back this is your first pullback, moves back up here, you'd be very inclined to go break even at this point in time. However, fortunately, it continued up and would have gotten your first contracts off. But that's something to consider. So I guess what I'm saying more than anything else is that nothing's 100% in trading. But more importantly, if you do have some upside potential, if you see that there's some and prices start to stagnate or go sideways, then you should move it to break even and then look for another trade. It's not you don't have to hang on to it until it comes back and takes out your stop at minus 15 ticks. If you get ahead of 13 ticks or 11 ticks or something in that area, and we have this, if it moves up very quickly and then starts going sideways, you might come back and might take you out. Now, the problem is that are you willing to hold on to it, or are you willing to go break even? That's something to really consider. And that's where it comes into, you've got three choices. You can either hold to target, you can hold until it hits your stop, or you can close the trade out. And if the trade isn't working out, then you have to look at closing it out. And closing it out may mean going to break even, or it may mean instead of holding on to your minus 15 ticks or wherever your stop is, taking it short. I mean, either way, the only way that you see whether it was the right move or not is after the fact. So there is going to be a certain element of randomness in trading. As you can see that from here, prices did move up higher, especially from this entry. It moved up at least the 15 ticks. You can see from here, if you entered in here, 15 ticks, not quite 30 ticks until it's kind of turned over and you had to wait onto it. Now this is really, this is 4 o'clock, so this is way after the close. But as you can see, if you take a look at this, really, even if this is, if you can call this a trend, it really isn't. It's really more of a fairly tight range. And what I mean by fairly tight range, if you're looking at 15 ticks, right through here, even though price is like slightly down, it's 15 ticks. So do you really take this into consideration? Looking at what the rotation is of 15 ticks. 15 ticks here, all the way through, and you can see that the magnitude of these pullbacks. So if you go through 1 or 2 of these, you might be more inclined to be quicker to pull the trigger on this. But the volume was there. Volume was, prices were didn't really come below this area, 52.80, pardon me, 52.60, 62, somewhere in that neighborhood. Right to here, this was the low right there, 52.63, and then price really kind of found. So if you look at it if you're looking at once this was established, looking at having your stop somewhere along here and going long at these areas, because the shorts really weren't well defined. Even this area, you can see that even if you did get in on this, you just made this trade. Same is true with here. If you were short here, it initially had a good drop, but then it pulled back, and depending on where you got in, you wouldn't maybe got your 15 ticks out. So that's something to really that's to consider that as well. So anyways, kind of if you were thinking long, you probably would have been more fortunate today. If you were looking at short, they were to be had. You might have been able, you might have closed them out quickly. It was tougher from this perspective. As you can see, did we actually get the measured move that I was anticipating? Well, if you take a look at it from that perspective, we did, but it took quite a while to work out. From here, and bottom line is here. You can see that it did have this move from this bottom, or even from here. That's kind of the idea, but maybe my battery's running out. That's what's happening. Okay, that's it for now. This is Vance. If you have any questions, please let me know. And you can send them to slowhandmethod@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.